So England back on the horse at Wembley tonight. And talking of which, let's say good morning to the Lone Ranger, our dancing cha-cha-cha champion, Paul Merson. Hello, cowboy, how are you?
Morning, Rob. You all right, mate?
Very well, thank you very much. I mean, we're all just still catching our breath from the drama of a dance-off last week. How are you feeling?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, good. Yeah, a bit shocked, but yeah, shocked I went through. But yeah, looking forward to this week. I got a dance this week, Rob. I got a proper ballroom dance. I'm Freddie Stair this week, so might have a chance.
Well, I've heard that the name of the track is I Won't Dance. I don't know whether that's some advice or maybe just I don't know how you say it, but what's the key to a good quick step?
Good feet.
Good feet.
Quick feet and a posture. That's my thing. My thing's going to be my posture. But yeah, I've got good feet, obviously, from playing football. So this might be the one. There's no gimmicks this week, no horses, no footballs, no barbecues. This is it. Turn up or go home, it'll be.
This is it. I've got confidence in you, Merson. Let's talk about England, shall we? Yeah. And actually, the challenges for an international manager, is the best way forward to pick all your best players and jam them into a team, or pick a system and risk leaving some big names out?
I'll go with B. I think you've got to go with a system, and then you've got to get the system right, and then you put the players in. The players adapt. It's right what Lee just said. Good players adapt quickly. There isn't a lot of time, but this is going to be his problem. You know, he just reeled off Bellingham, Foden, Saka, Palmer. You know, you've got to get these players in the team, but you can't play them all. I don't think you can play them all. So he's got to make big decisions, the manager, and it's up to him. Wouldn't like to see a false nine, if I'm being honest. When I just heard just then, when I was waiting to come on, I think, you know, Watkins has got to play off Solanke. Otherwise, no point in them being in the squad ever again, because Kane plays every week. And if they can't get a game when Kane ain't playing, they're never going to play for England.
Well, let's start then with that false nine and discussion about strikers there. And as you just said, what it might do for the confidence, particularly of someone like Ollie Watkins, who scored that massive goal in the semi-final against the Netherlands. If you think, yeah, Harry Kane isn't fit enough and we still can't get you in the team, does that potentially break a player?
I would say so. I think you'd start thinking then, if I can't play, if Harry Kane ain't playing, I'm never going to play. You know, false nines are okay, but you've got to have runners from midfield. You know, you're talking about the players like your Palmers, your Fodens, your Bellinghams. You know, they want to get on the ball. So when they want to get on the ball, you need people like your Frank Lampards were. And at a time when he was at his best, Dele Alli was like that, you know, wanted to run beyond the centre forward. You know, that works if you've got a false 10. A false nine. If you haven't got them midfield players that are prepared to run beyond, it will never ever work that. So for me, Watkins has got to play, in my opinion, or Solanke. One or the other has got to play in this game.
You just mentioned Frank Lampard there, and we were talking about making difficult decisions. Do you think there's been a time in the past where England managers have been almost afraid of ego and the size of a player, that there might have been a time where it would have been better for the team had either Gerrard or Lampard or Scholes not been in it?
Yeah, it is. You know, what would we have done, Rob? You're talking about three of the best midfield players ever to play in the Premier League, all brilliant at what they did. How'd you not play? That's the problem. And this was it. I mean, back in the day then, you play a 4-3-3. When they were playing, what was it, 15, 20 years ago, or 10 years, you know, the systems have changed now. You know, you're getting so many different systems. Before it was like, really, it was 4-4-2. You might get the odd different sort of system, but now they would all play in a 4-3-3, in my opinion. You know, you've got someone who can bomb forward. You've got someone who can, two people who can spray the ball around. That would have been the perfect three, in my opinion. Now, you know, Stevie G or Paul Scholes sitting in the back of the back four, spraying it around. You've got Lampard bombing forward. So I think because the system's changed now, they would have worked now. You know, them three, you look at them three, you'd pick them three tomorrow morning for this England squad.
If you wouldn't play Bellingham as a false nine, then do you see him as the one to play a little bit deeper alongside Declan Rice?
I would probably say so. Again, it's, you know, playing people in different positions. I think he can hold. I think he's an intelligent footballer for his age. I think he's a top player. I think you just bring him back. You know, he's got loads of energy. He can burst forward, and he'll be able to pick the right times. But you have to work on so much. Lee's got, if he wants to play a certain way, where Foden drops off or Palmer drop off and then Bellingham bombs forward. These things take time on the training pitch. You don't just throw a lorry load of top footballers on a football pitch and go work it out. There's got to be systems. We see this when Arsenal play and Man United and Liverpool. No, not Man United. When we see Arsenal play and Liverpool play and Man City play, we know. We see what they're trying to do, and that comes from hard work on the training pitch. So England will need to take time, and that's why I think you put sort of. I wouldn't say play safe, because I think Watkins or Solanke, especially Watkins, deserves a chance in this game. He's waited and waited behind Harry Kane and probably not been in as much good form as what he has been before. But I think he's earned the right to play in this football match.
If we're looking at who could be the odd one out, if Lee Carsley does have to make some tough decisions, you would say at the moment that it's not going to be Cole Palmer, who's been voted as the fans' player of the year. Given that he's only started 2 of the matches, I think it probably shows you his popularity across the board at the moment, doesn't it?
I think you've got to get Palmer in the team. You've got to get him in. I think, I know we were talking earlier and you say about, with the Lampard, Stevie G and Scholes one, this lad has to play. If he doesn't play tonight, when is he ever going to play for England? I mean, he is completely on top of his game, playing with all the confidence in the world. If he doesn't play today, I don't know when he ever plays for England. So for me, he's a sure starter tonight for me.
I think we've got a little bit of him in action against Nottingham Forest last weekend. He's been compared to a few players. It's quite interesting hearing him talk about Dennis Bergkamp, who you will know well, and saying, I don't really remember him too much because I'm too young, which certainly makes me feel old. Is there anyone who sort of springs to mind when you look at comparing him to greats of the past?
I mean, the biggest shock I see there was him not scoring. I watch him at Chelsea. He's a top draw player. They're the things he does. You look at the goals last season when he nutmegged when he got his goals last year, the hat trick. Nutmegs the centre half on the comes to diving on the edge of the box. The lad's a quality player. It doesn't surprise me. Yeah, if he can get to the standard of Dennis Bergkamp, he'll have one of the best careers he's ever dreamt of. I mean, Dennis Bergkamp was by far the best player I ever played with by a million miles. So, if he can get to that standard, every Chelsea fan, and I'm sure Cole Palmer himself will be very, very happy with that.
And if we talk about them and comparing him with Bergkamp, and maybe also with yourself as well, is he the sort of player who would, and I know that the modern game is very structured, but almost a manager who says, to a large extent, just go and do your own thing?
Yeah, I think he gets that at Chelsea. I think at Chelsea, it's get the ball to Palmer and let him make things happen. And he does make things happen. He does, and he wants the ball. When you go away with England, there's 4 or 5 of them players on the pitch that can do that as well. Like you just named Bellingham, Foden, Saka. If Kane's playing, they can all do that as well. So instead of you being the main man, there's 4 of them players. So now all of a sudden, you touching the ball 70 times in a game is down to 30 times in a game, because they're not just looking to get the ball to Palmer now. They're looking to get it to Foden or Bellingham or out wide to Saka or into Kane's feet. That's where it'll be different for him. And that's why it'll be interesting to see how he copes, because he's not going to touch the ball as many times as what he does when he's playing for Chelsea. And everything goes for him at Chelsea. And rightly so. He's different class. You spoke as well a couple of minutes or so ago about saying, well, they're really good players, but you still can't just say to them, well, go out there and work things out yourself. But that must be really difficult at international level when you've got 3 sessions before a game with players. What did international managers do to try and get their message across to you as a player really quickly? Yeah, I mean, when I played Rob, it was very simple. It was 4-4-2. So, everybody was playing the same way at the time when I first got into the England team. It wasn't the systems. That's the one thing now I think has changed more than anything, is the way teams play and the systems they play. So it wasn't, we only met up on a Sunday and we played on a Wednesday and then we went back to our clubs, So now they do get that 2 weeks, but I still think it's a hard one. If you're going to play Cole Palmer in this game, and, Cole Palmer's playing as well as anybody in the world, let alone just in this country at the moment, you want to give him a chance. So you want that centre forward up there where they're going to have a centre forward who's going to hold the defenders, the centre halves, keep them occupied. So then when he does come short, he can get on the ball and there's space. If you have a false nine, we're going to have a situation like we did in the Euros. Bellingham and Foden will be taking each other's space. The pitch looks like it's a five-a-side pitch. You know, you watch Spain in the Euros, it looked like it was playing on a polo pitch. You know, the pitch looked huge. You know, we were suffocating our pitch. We were making it tight because everybody was gathering and wanting to do the same job. So for me, I think you've got to play a centre forward to give Palmer an opportunity. You know, he's playing on top of his game. Give the lad an opportunity.
I can tell what type of circles you move in these days, Merson, if you're going to watch polo on a regular basis. Let's just finish with the captain.
That's the horse I had last week.
Let's just finish with the captain, John Stones, shall we? He's going to move past Rio Ferdinand tonight in terms of the amount of caps that he's won for his country. Do you think he gets enough credit? Because he's going to go down as one of the most decorated British players of all time, you would suspect.
I'm a big fan of Stones. I think when he first come to Man City, you know, I was one of the ones that... I wasn't giving him stick, but I just thought he was one of them players you wanted to play against. You know, as a centre-half, brilliant footballer, great brain, great on the ball, can defend, but he was always going to give you a chance. Every game he would give you a chance. That's out of his game now. He doesn't take chances anymore. He defends at the right time. He's an unbelievable player. He's got a brilliant brain for a centre-half. You know, he reminds you, you're right, what you said with Rio Ferdinand. They're Rolls-Royce of centre-halves. You know, they're Rolls-Royce. They come out, they play, they're elegant, but they can defend at the same time. And I'm pleased for him because, you know, people forget, short memories. When he went to Man City, he was getting a bit of stick at the start because he was giving away goals, he was making mistakes. Good players iron them out. They gather up and they listen to their managers. They go, you know what, I've got to start changing my game a little. And he's done that. Them mistakes are out the game and he's a top draw player. I call him a proper footballer.
Merce, more to come from you in just a couple of minutes' time. England have declared, by the way, in the first test, 8-2-3 for 7 declared. That's a lead of 267. And they will look to try and bowl Pakistan out in Multan and win that first test match. It's live on Sky Sports Cricket. We're back with more in just a couple of minutes' time. Well, Merson is still with us. Let's turn our attention then to Club Matters, Merson. A near 7-hour-long meeting for Manchester United's executives earlier this week for clarification on Erik ten Hag's future. You're sort of getting to the point where you're feeling a little bit of sympathy for him because you just want a decision to be made one way or the other.
I don't think he does. I think he wants to just keep on hanging in there. I mean, he don't want a decision. His decision, he's still manager of the football club. Yeah, I think he stays for a while now. You know, always a big time this 2-week international break. You know, some people do get that bit of panic in clubs and go, we've got to change our manager. It gives us 2 weeks. I think this is probably telling you he's going to get a little bit more time. I'd be quite shocked if he didn't. I mean, unless they're looking for a manager that was already in a job, but I can't see that neither. So I think it's a real confidence booster for Ten Hag. I think they're thinking, you know, we've come this far, we might as well keep on going. And it's not the manager, it's the players.
But for the players then, do you think it gets to a stage where because of this uncertainty, it gives them even more of an excuse to keep churning out the sort of performances we've seen so far this season and actually a bit further back before that?
You hope not. You hope not. You know, they're playing... I keep on saying it. I still think they're the biggest club in the world, Man United. You know, not the biggest team in the world anymore, but they're the biggest club in the world. And I just think these players need to understand, you know, they're playing for an unbelievable football club. All you can go out and do is give your all. I thought they were unlucky on Sunday at Villa. I thought they'd done well. But they've got to do that week in, week out. You know, at the moment, they're a bag of revels. You just don't know what you're going to get. And that's what their performances have been, I would say, for the last 2 years. At least the last 2 years where, you know, this is the first time, Rob, I would say, when they've been under pressure, he hasn't had a give-me football match. Over the last couple of years, been on a bad run. Oh, we've got a team at home that are bottom 3. Got a team at home, haven't won for 20 games away from home. He's always had that nice game. You know, he had it a couple of weeks ago against Barnsley. You know, in the cup, Barnsley need to win, and they win easy. You know, the pressure is on now, but now the managers, now that they've met and they've said what they said and nothing's happened, I see him being there for a lot longer now.
But if they've been a bag of rebels for 2 years now, that surely is long enough evidence to suggest that he isn't going to be the man that eventually turns that round, isn't it?
I agree with you. I agree with you. But there must have been a plan at the start of the season where, the people that have taken over, the man who's taken over, he doesn't become a billionaire by being lucky. You don't just be lucky and become a billionaire. You're very clever, you're very bright, and you do everything very calmly. If he's looked at this and gone, right, well, this is a 5-year project, the way we've got now with the fair play rule, Man United are not going to catch up Man City and Arsenal and Liverpool in the next year. It's impossible. You can't go out and spend £500 million on players now because that can't happen. So they've got to be patient. And the only way of being patient is having a plan. And the plan is going to take time. Man United have got to start walking again before they can start running. And they definitely can't start sprinting yet. And this is what everybody thinks. And I think at the moment, the one thing that would worry more than anything, Rob, is off the top of my head, who's come into that club that they bought and you've gone, he was a major success. I mean, Anthony was 80-odd million pound. Are you picked up yet? Or are you fallen over?
I'm still here. Yeah.
I thought you'd fallen over when I said 80 million pound. He was 80 million. I mean, I'm not. That just sums it all up. 80 million pound. I'm looking at the players that they bought. He bought the boy Højlund. I like Højlund, the centre up forward, but he's a young kid. You can't put a young kid into Man United up front and go in not a very good football team and say, "Go on, mate, go and get me 20 goals a season." You can't do it. It's like, for me, it's so wrong. And that's me sitting on the outside. I just don't know what they've done. I would have put someone like Gary Neville in charge, in charge of the recruitment. Gary's been at that club for all his career. He knows football inside out. You put someone like him in charge, or Rio Ferdinand, or someone like that, or even together, and you go, right, we've got to build this club. What players should we be bringing in? But the players they've been bringing in, I mean, I keep on going back, £80 million. Who sanctioned that? I watched him in, and I don't want to be horrible, but I watched him in Holland. He goes down the wing, he cuts in, and he bends it in the far corner. And he's done it every week in Holland. You come to the Premier League, and every single fullback virtually in the Premier League is international fullback. And they work you out, and they go, wait a minute, I'm not showing him on that foot. I'm showing him on that foot. And then you've got to come up with solutions. And that's what Saka does every week. He comes up with solutions. And this lad hasn't. And 80 million, you can't even say, you know what, we'll swallow one here and we'll get 40 for him. They won't even get 40.
Well, good news is I've not fallen over. I'm all good. This isn't one of your cha-cha-chas, Merson. We're all okay. But thank you very much, and all the best this weekend.